So, how many of you in your Class C RV or in even a travel trailer have had this happen? The vinyl trim has shrunk and pulled out of the track. Today's episode, I'm gonna show you how to fix it.
The sun is coming up, are you ready to go? We can take a ride, we can take it slow. Your will is my law, I'ma let you be the boss, 'cause I'll go where you go. I'll take you to a place we can...
So I like to do all my maintenance myself, and that way I know that the job is done correctly. And how many of you cannot stand to have something wrong with your RV? Like the tape coming off. So I've got my ladder set up, I've got all my stuff on the top, and we're gonna go ahead and get started. All right, so for today's project, you're gonna need a trusty old work truck with a toolbox on it. Not really. I'm using carburetor cleaner. You can use mineral spirits, anything that you can clean up the sealant and all when you put it on, a rag. I've got a utility knife, a pair of scissors. I've got the vinyl insert trim that I bought from Amazon, and you can buy it in a 100-foot roll, but you'll need to make sure that you get the right width and the right color. I like to use the Dicor self-leveling compound, my caulking gun, a Phillips head screwdriver, and then I have a soft nylon putty knife, and then a harder one, an ice scraper, and then of course a cup of coffee. All right, so if you'll notice, I'm up on the top. I've got all my stuff up here, and I'm on the top of my ladder. And you'll notice right in this area is where the track stops, and this is where your vinyl trim starts. And this has some silicone over this screw, but there is a Phillips head screw right here that holds the end of the trim into the track. So what I've got to do is remove this silicone and be able to loosen the screw. And with that, I'm going to use a nylon scrape, and then I've got a heavier one right here in case the nylon one doesn't work. I don't want to scratch my trim up. All right, so I've got all the silicone removed, and I actually used my little razor knife to get the putty out of the Phillips head screw, and I started screwing it back, but I've made me a reference mark right here so I know where the screw goes straight through the new trim. So I'm going to put a picture of what it looked like, and then you can see what it is now. And then once you get the screw out, you'll just begin to remove the old vinyl trim. Now, I'm not going to measure the length of this piece because remember, it's shrunk. And what I will do is I'll come back here with my new roll and I'll begin to insert it as I go around the top. And then when I get to the bottom, I'll cut it off, making sure I've got the right length. Now, when I get here to the bottom, it'll fold under, and right back up in here is another Phillips head screw that I have to remove. All right, so I got my new trim, and make sure when you go to order this, you get the right color. And I'm just gonna start feeding it into the track, starting with my other one. You may have to take and kind of fold it over with your hands first to get it started. And then I'm just gonna take and work my way all the way around until I get to the bottom. All right, so I've gotten down here to the bottom where it tucks back up in under the camper. And I'm gonna come down and I'm gonna cut it down about here, give myself 3 or 4 inches, and I'll tuck it back in there just in case this ever loosens up again. I can just take it loose, get the excess, slide it up, and put it back into place. All right, so it's trimmed, tucked back. I put the screw back in here, and there is a cavity back up in here that I put the excess back in and secured it away so that if this ever happens again, I can loosen the screw and I've got enough excess to be able to pull it up, not have to replace it. Yeah. All right, so I've got my cup of coffee, and I'm going to step back and study my work and make sure I've done it right. And you may not know, before I started teaching, I was in the construction business. My dad and I were residential contractors and built a lot of houses in this area, and that's actually what gave me the ability to begin teaching construction in high school. But I laid that out to tell you this story. When I was in high school, I worked for an old-time carpenter, and I'm talking about those guys that they were more craftsmen than carpenters. And he was of that generation that would drink coffee all day long. And whenever we'd get to a certain point in the project, he would walk over to his truck. He had an old, and I'm thinking it was a 46 Ford ton truck. You had to double clutch it to drive it. And he smoked Pale Male filterless cigarettes. Now, I don't smoke. And he would pour him a cup of coffee, light a cigarette up, and he would step back and he would study what work we had done, make sure we'd done it right before we moved on to the next step. So that was a very informative time during my life working for him, and I'm glad I got the opportunity. All right, so I've got my screw back in. I've got my die core ready to go. This is self-leveling. Make sure you check what kind of roof you have and get the correct die core for the roof you have. And I am going to seal this area back up. We're done with this side, and we'll move to the other one. All right, so I'm just working on the die core on the other side and sealing this up. And just a little recap, make sure you do this kind of on a warm day. I would say above 45, 50 degrees. That just makes the vinyl trim a little easier to manage. Make sure that you take your time. This is about an hour job. And then just make sure you get sealed up really good when you get done. Well, that's it for this repair, and I hope you found this helpful as you take care of your RV. You know, Becky and I have been talking about trading and going up to a Class A for a while, and we figured out we're definitely in a seller's market, not a buyer's. And we don't need an RV. We'd just like to have a bigger one. But we've decided to hang on to this one for at least another year. So just be on the lookout as we take care of this and knock out the little things. We're going to share that with you. Hopefully it will help you take care of your RV. And until our next video, hey, we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit that notification bell and smash that like button.